Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm your host, and here we break down the game every half space at a time. Yeah, that sounds awful. But let's get right into it. I watched the Manchester Derby, and I must say I have a lot of things on my mind because Manchester United has been through a lot these past few weeks. For a team called Manchester United, the fan base has been very, very divided more than ever. Some people are saying the manager is the problem. Some are saying it's the players. But there's one thing that is for sure, that is everyone has a part in it. Let's talk about it. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about the indecision of players and their lack of awareness on the pitch. Let's get into it. So over here, we see Mazraoui come into contact with a loose ball. He's supposed to clear out of the danger zone. And the danger zone being him in the middle of a close down by 4 Manchester City players. So I believe that at this point in time, the logical thing is to play far away. But what does he do? He heads it to Bruno Fernandes. And then, at this point in time, the midfield line of Manchester City has pushed the press further up the pitch to close down the Manchester United players. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 players who are further up, and they are very, very close to the backline of Manchester United. So this actually hammers down the point that they want to close down the pitch, and due to Bruno Fernandes' indecision, Jeremy Doku gets the ball, and the link-up plays happen to penetrate the Manchester United backline. So over here, we see the 5-back, or let me say the back 5, ready and in position. But as you would have guessed, Jeremy Doku and Haaland have found easy pathways through that same backline. So you can see we have 5 people, but there are 2 easy pathways which should not be allowed, but it is going to happen. The funny thing here is Jeremy Doku is surrounded by 3 players, 3 professional footballers, but he still feels free enough to turn around and link up with Haaland. We have seen that Erling Haaland uses his pathway through the backline after passing to Jeremy Doku, and our esteemed best defender is watching him jog without even attempting to close him down. And then, after Haaland gets the ball, we see that now De Ligt is trying to press him and close him down. You see what I'm saying? So the problem is, why didn't you even attempt to close the guy down when he was in front of you? Why did you wait for him to get the ball before you do that? Where is the sense of urgency, guys? Do you get what I'm saying? Sure, Ruben Amorim has a lot of issues, but these guys, they are something else. But let's continue. I think when it comes to this particular issue, a lot of players had no idea what they wanted to do in the first place. The second is they didn't even have the sense of urgency to scan the field to see where there is danger, who to close down, what to do, what not to do. They were just standing there like, what is it called, mannequins, watching these guys penetrate through them. Pause. But you get what I'm saying? There's no sense of urgency. The players are indecisive. They are not even aware of the problems on the pitch. I don't know what is going on, but they need to solve that. So in this chapter, we are talking about the shallow use of tactics and the lack of concentration. Let's get into it. We see here that there is a shallow attempt at doing a low block over here. The low block is supposed to be 5-3-2 or 5-2-3, or in some other cases like Thomas Frank, you'd see 4-4-2. But please tell me, or let me do you one better, show me where that shape is, because it is not visible. You can see in the Crystal Palace low block against Manchester City in the FA Cup final that it was very, very structured and organized. You could see every player in his place. Anyway, Rodri sees the disorganization and recognizes the space in behind Jeremy Doku. And then he lays a pass onto him, and then he's already running. Already, if it was someone else, he could have also had the option to lay an overhead pass right behind Jeremy Doku and let him go and fetch it. But that also works. Now, we have seen that Luke Shaw is contemplating to come out of his line to press Doku or stay in position. Because if he comes out, I think it's Nico O'Reilly who will just take advantage of that space that would be created and then move through it. But bro, you've already created a massive space on your right. You see, so this is a masterclass on how not to do zonal marking. But I digress. Sorry about that. Patrick Dogu is man marking Nico, making Bernardo Silva free to run down the flanks. And you can also spot Phil Foden, who is getting ready for the attack and is already running in behind Bruno Fernandes, who is not a midfielder, by the way. He's not a midfielder. He looks like a fish out of water. He doesn't know what to do. And then you can see that Jeremy Doku dribbles past them fairly easily. And then after Doku leaves them behind, we see Ahmad and Luke Shaw deciding to jog and watch the game. You see what I'm saying here? No sense of urgency. Ugarte does well to chase him, but he leaves him too much space to operate. And at this point I'm thinking, is it true that these guys are just overpaid average footballers, or they are not even footballers at all? Or they are just pretending to be footballers? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean. You see what I did there? I'm sorry about that. I digress again. But do you get what I'm saying? I have to say it. Because Phil Foden is in the free space and he is ready to receive the ball and do whatever he wants with it. Now, at this point, there are 3 Manchester United players watching Doku, and 4 of them behind them also watching the game. And Mazraoui is allowing Haaland and Phil Foden to be marked. So in the box we have, I think, 7 to 8 Manchester United players and just 4 Manchester City players, with Bernardo Silva making 5. How is this a disadvantage for Manchester United? But of course, it becomes disadvantage. So as you can see, the players are a huge part of the problem. They are very, very disorganized defensively. By the time Doku crosses the ball, at this point, Phil Foden has caught 3 people off guard, because he has already run into the space created by the other 2 centre backs, and of course Bruno, who comes later on. And then afterwards, you can see the goal coming in fairly easily. So with Haaland's second goal, it is pretty well established by this point that there are lots of spaces in the Manchester United backline. And as the ball comes to Doku, Haaland is already in position to run in behind and cause chaos. Now, as Jeremy tussles with Lenny Yoro, I believe De Ligt should be quick enough to cut off any pass meant for the striker in behind you. Mind you, I don't even think he knows Haaland is behind him, but I believe that if there's a dangerous pass coming in, you should be really quick enough to cut off that line. But as the pass comes, he is ready to leave the ball for Haaland to pick up. And I don't know what kind of decision making is that. So I would ask myself, why do you allow Luke Shaw to go boot for boot with Haaland? How is that even possible? Because as we can see, I think he's trying to go and guard the last post. But as a professional defender, I don't get where this decision making is coming from. Because at the end of the day, you are strong enough, you are quick enough, you are young, and you have the physical abilities to close down Erling Haaland. Maybe in a physical fight you wouldn't win, or in a physical battle you would lose. Obviously, Haaland is a unit. But you can do good enough to make sure the ball doesn't get to his feet. At this point, I think De Ligt is making it seem like he's ready for Haaland to take the ball, and he has already predicted that Haaland will get past Luke Shaw, get past Bayinda and shoot. So he just wants to go back to the back post and clear the ball. I don't know. And even with that, I think I was wrong, because De Ligt begins to jog and he's watching what is going to ensue between Haaland and Luke Shaw. And of course, it's not like there's a positive outcome that's going to come from such a situation. How is that even possible? So you look at Luke Shaw and Bayinda, you have Haaland, there's going to be a goal. It's as simple as that. So I believe that by this point you get where I'm coming from. That Ruben Amorim is not the only problem with Manchester United. The decision making of the players are just off. You don't know what they want to do. The players clearly don't know what they are doing. I could have touched on a lot of things, like the lack of creativity up front, the indecision in the midfield, and a whole lot of things. But this really irks me the most, to be honest. This really annoys me more than the system, the formation, Kobe Menu, whatever the hell. This really annoys me, because if you look at our backline, our midfield, every single ball that goes to it has a higher percentage of scoring, a higher probability of getting into the net. And why is that? If you are playing a system with 5 defenders, isn't that supposed to be an advantage over the systems that have 4 defenders? So it is really, really shocking for me that sometimes we blame the coaches, and it is true. Ruben Amorim has to have a lot of blame. I believe as a coach he has to adapt to the Premier League. I'm not saying he should change the formation totally, but he should make a lot of tweaks to his formation. I believe Kobe Menu should be playing over Casemiro. I believe Bruno Fernandes is not supposed to be in the midfield. But the thing is, that's not the only problem. The system is not supposed to teach you how to make the right decisions, how to clear the ball, how to press your man, how to close down the striker that is running in behind you, how to cut off penetrating passes. The system is not supposed to teach you that. You're supposed to know that as a professional footballer. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I took from the Manchester Derby. And it is really, really sad, to be honest, that Manchester United has gotten to this point. But, well, we are going to do a lot more of this. So please, stay tuned. We are going to have a lot more tactical stuff along the way, discussions. So follow me on my socials, and we are going to have a lot of fun at a lot of places. So just follow. I'll do my best to make this channel interactive as possible. You can suggest things in the comments. I'll do my best to respond, and then we move on. So ladies and gentlemen, that was it for today's episode of the KJR Half Space.